All right, we're live. Um, oh yeah, I think Shauna said last week that we were turned the wrong way. How about that? That might be better. Okay, we're on the YouTube live. We're doing our Thursday night class. Back to the class. Was not feeling well last week. Took a break. So we're reading the introduction of Bhagavad Gita as it is. We're doing our best to refocus our mind and energy here onto spiritual topics. It can be so difficult. It is so difficult because in this day and age, Kali Yuga, and the forces are stacked against us. We have a materially conditioned mind, and we're embodied. We're a living entity traveling through this body, and we've been through so many bodies before, and we've acted in so many ways, and we've built up so much reaction to our activities that it's insurmountable. It's impossible to overcome that influence. That's what's called material conditioning. We're conditioned to act in certain ways. But we've been instructed by the smartest of the smart, by the wisest of the wise, the most loving souls that have compassion and mercy for us, to, with determination, continuously bring the mind back under control and place it upon the spiritual topics contained in the Bhagavad Gita, place it on Shastra, scripture, place it on hearing and chanting of the holy names. So we must take this task seriously and engage in this task and activity with utmost diligence, utmost faith, knowing full well that it will lead to great results. So continuing on, we persevere. We join at page 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vedic knowledge is not a question of research. Our research work is imperfect because we are researching things with imperfect senses. We have to accept perfect knowledge which comes down, as it is stated in Bhagavad Gita, by the Parampara, disciplic succession. We have to receive knowledge from the proper source in disciplic succession, beginning with the supreme spiritual master, the Lord himself, and handed down to a succession of spiritual masters. Arjuna, the student who took lessons from Lord Sri Krishna, accepts everything that he says without contradicting him. One is not allowed to accept one portion of Bhagavad Gita and not another. No, we must accept Bhagavad Gita without interpretation, without deletion, and without our own whimsical participation in the matter. The Gita should be taken as the most perfect presentation of Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received from transcendental sources, and the first words were spoken by the Lord himself. The words spoken by the Lord are different from words spoken by a person of the mundane world who is infected with 4 defects. A mundaner, number 1, is sure to commit mistakes. Number 2, is invariably illusioned. Number 3, has the tendency to cheat others. And 4, is limited by imperfect senses. With these 4 imperfections, one cannot deliver perfect information of the all-pervading knowledge. Vedic knowledge is not imparted by such defective living entities. It was imparted into the heart of Brahma, the first created living entity. And Brahma in turn disseminated this knowledge to his sons and disciples as he originally received it from the Lord. The Lord is Purnam, all perfect, and there's no possibility of his becoming subjected to the laws of material nature. One should therefore be intelligent enough to know that the Lord is the only proprietor of everything in the universe, and that he is the original creator, the creator of Brahma. In the 11th chapter, the Lord is addressed as as Prapitamaha, because Brahma is addressed as Pitamaha, the grandfather, and he is the creator of the grandfather, Prapitamaha. So, no one should claim to be the proprietor of anything. One should accept only things which are set aside for him by the Lord as his quota for his maintenance. There are many examples given of how we are to utilize those things which are set aside for us by the Lord. This is also explained in Bhagavad Gita. In the beginning, Arjuna decided that he should not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra. This was his own decision. Arjuna told the Lord that it was not possible for him to enjoy the kingdom after killing his own kinsman. This decision was based on the body, because he was thinking that the body was himself, and that the bodily relations or expansions were his brothers, nephews, brothers-in-laws, grandfathers, and so on. He was thinking in this way to satisfy his bodily demands. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by the Lord just to change this view, and at the end Arjuna decides to fight under the direction of the Lord when he says, Karishye vachanam tava, I shall act according to thy word. In this world, man is not meant to toil like hogs. He must be intelligent to realize the importance of human life and refuse to act like an ordinary animal. A human being should realize the aim of his life, and this direction is given in all Vedic literatures, and the essence is given in Bhagavad Gita. Vedic literature is meant for human beings, not for animals. Animals can kill other living animals, and there is no question of sin on their part. But if man kills an animal for the satisfaction of his uncontrolled taste, he must be responsible for breaking the laws of nature. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly explained that there are three kinds of activities according to the different modes of nature. The activities of goodness, of passion, and of ignorance. Similarly, there are three kinds of eatables also. Eatables in goodness, passion, and ignorance. All of this is clearly described, and if we properly utilize the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, then our whole life will become purified, and ultimately we will be able to reach the destination, which is beyond this material sky. That destination is called the Sanatan sky, the eternal spiritual sky. In this material world, we find that everything is temporary. It comes into being, stays for some time, produces some byproducts, and dwindles, and then vanishes. That is the law of the material world, whether we use as an example this body, a piece of fruit, or anything. But beyond this temporary world, there's another world of which we have information. This world consists of another nature, which is Sanatan, eternal. Jiva is also described as Sanatan, eternal, and the Lord is also described as Sanatan in the 11th chapter. We have an intimate relationship with the Lord, and because we are all qualitatively one, the Sanatan Dham, or the sky, the Sanatan Supreme Personality, and the Sanatan living entities, the whole purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to revive our Sanatan occupation, or Sanatan Dharma, which is the eternal occupation of the living entity. We are temporarily engaged in different activities, but all of these activities can be purified when we give up these temporary activities and take up the activities which are prescribed by the Supreme Lord. That is called our pure life. Hey, no. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, you're a bad boy. Sorry. The Supreme Lord and his transcendental abode are both Sanatan, as are the living entities, and the combined association of the Supreme Lord and the living entities in the Sanatan abode is the perfection of human life. The Lord is very kind to the living entities because they are his sons. Lord Krishna declares in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Yonishu, Aham Bija Pradaha Pita. I am the father of all. Of course, there are all types of living entities according to their various karmas, but here the Lord claims that he is the father of all of them. Therefore the Lord descends to reclaim all of these fallen conditioned souls, to call them back to the Sanatan eternal sky, so that the Sanatan living entities may regain their eternal Sanatan positions in eternal association with the Lord. The Lord comes himself in different incarnations, or he sends his confidential servants as sons, or his associates or acharyas to reclaim the conditioned souls. Therefore, Sanatan Dharma does not refer to any sectarian process of religion. It is the eternal function of the living entities in relationship with the Supreme Eternal Lord. Sanatan Dharma refers, as stated previously, to the eternal occupation of the living entity. Ramanujacharya has explained the word Sanatan as that which has neither beginning nor end. So, as we speak of Sanatan Dharma, we must take it for granted on the authority of Sri Ramanujacharya that it has neither beginning nor end. I think we're going to stop right there. I mean, this is just absolutely amazing. Everything is spelled out in those words. The whole purpose, everyone wonders, like, when they're born, and they wonder, like, what's going on here with life? What's the meaning of this? Like, what is God's relationship to this world? And, like, they see suffering, they wonder, like, does God just, like, let people suffer? Does he enjoy watching people suffer? Why doesn't he stop them? like, what is God doing about all this, you know? And it just spells it out right here, you know, that he comes here and he's trying to reclaim all of us fallen conditioned souls back to the spiritual sky, the Sanatan sky, the spiritual world. And he's saying, you have an eternal relationship with me in the kingdom of God, and that's your inherent right, is to be reestablished in that relationship. So get out of this crappy place and come back to where you're going to be really happy. And that's his calling to us. But we, being independent, having our own will, we have the choice. We can do what we want to do, and we've committed ourselves to trying to enjoy independently to such a great degree that even if we have a moment of clarity, decide we want to surrender to God, it still becomes a great challenge to give up this false Lord enjoyer propensity that we have because of our conditioning. So, just absolutely unfathomable the amount of clarity we can gain from this, from Bhaktivedanta Swami's revelations here in the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita as it is, and perfectly delineating, shedding light on the situation of why the Lord descends into this world, and what the relationship is between the living entities and the Lord. And this should be fascinating to us, and it's extremely rare. I mean, it's like, it's confidential. It doesn't just happen. This knowledge doesn't just happen to pass through everyone's cranium in the human form of life. I mean, you have to be extremely rare to come into contact with this. And unfortunately, a lot of us are not properly qualified to not take it for granted, you know, to properly be humble enough to be able to really appreciate this knowledge, you know. And so we got to work on it. We got to work a little harder on ourselves, you know, and trying to look into some of the deeper things in life, you know. Sanatan Dharma. It's our natural condition, you know, our natural function. And the eatables, you know, the goodness, passion, and ignorance. I mean, we're so dominated by these modes of material nature, you know, by whatever desires enter our mind, whatever we want to do, whatever we feel, whatever we like, you know. I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 90s, you know, where there was this vibe that everything was going to be all right and great, and most kids in Texas and all over the United States were raised, were spoiled, you know. Whatever you want, you get. Like, what are the desires that are entering into your heart, your mind, and your body, and let me help you satisfy those desires, okay? And if we can't satisfy them, we'll, you know, because you can't have everything, but we'll try our best, you know. So you end up just teaching, you end up indoctrinating a kid into a system which leads to incredible amounts of misery and suffering and mental illness. And people still have not yet awoken to that fact. I mean, it's unfathomable, and it's still going on. It's still the way that children are being raised in Western countries, you know. And it should be taught to the kids from a very young age that satisfying the desires that arise in your mind, heart, and body does not actually lead to spiritual fulfillment and happiness, and that the chanting of the holy name of the Lord should be the tantamount and foremost and first and foremost process by which we seek fulfillment and satisfaction, and we should learn to tolerate our desires and allow them to enter into us like streams entering into the ocean, but not necessarily having to satisfy them. but observing them as a silent observer and being detached from them. Detachment is something that kids are not taught in this country. It's very rare, it's something that, I had to learn through my alternate education of kind of going through a yoga process, getting really into Hatha yoga and Eastern philosophy, and I learned about detachment, and Buddhism and different things like that. Detachment is a weapon that is absolutely required to succeed in spiritual life. All the kids. If you want your kid to be happy, instead of buying them chocolate and M&Ms and toys, you need to teach that kid detachment. That is very important. You have to teach them that. Otherwise, they're going to be set up for disaster. And the values that we give our children are going to determine what they prioritize in life, and the values are just all screwed up across the board right now, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge, and I'm so demoniac that I was born here in one of the most spiritually impoverished places on the planet, and we have very little hope in sight. We do have the greatest hope of all, which is the holy name, and we have the living representative of Krishna on the planet. So we've done better than winning the lottery, to be honest with you, but to actually appreciate it, like I said, to actually take it seriously, not take it for granted, and not be offensive and block ourselves from being able to take advantage of this treasure. It's unfortunately it's very challenging for those living in a culture of spiritual impoverishment. So perhaps changing one's location can be a tool which is used for their spiritual benefit. Perhaps exploration, determining a suitable place to plant your garden and allow your consciousness to grow towards the Supreme Lord in the most practical and quickest way would be something that you should think about pursuing. Because we can all just, if we really wanted to, we could all just be homeless, and we could go grab a sleeping bag and walk outside and go onto a sidewalk outside of a 7-Eleven and set that sleeping bag down, and we could sleep there. And then we could get a box of stuff with our cell phone charger, and we could try to charge our phone, outside the 7-Eleven. And then people would walk by and kind of go, what are you doing? And you would find that it's really not that convenient of a place to make your home. Many of you probably would not even go there, but let's say you did, okay? Now, for other people that are walking by that have a better place to live, they're going to be going, what is wrong with this person? That they decided that they wanted to, sleep right there outside of a 7-Eleven, because they knew of better places to, even if they were homeless, they knew of better spots that you could post up, in a forest somewhere, or in a cave, or there's different locations that provide different amenities. So they're going, why is that guy posted up right there? So, in life, we have the decision if we're just going to live wherever is most convenient to us, right next to our parents, or, in the town that we grew up in, and it's just comfortable, and everyone, and it's easy for you. It's convenient, But for someone that's spiritually set up and is actually pursuing the goal of life and tasting immense satisfaction, they're going to walk by and go, and they're going to see you in the way that we see the guy that's sleeping outside the 7-Eleven going, why is that person sleeping there? In other words, why are you being complacent and content with your life just right there, and when there are better options? but you're not aware of those better options because you haven't explored, you know? So you need to explore, you need to get out there and see what the better options are, okay? And this should be tantamount. It should be like more important than getting a 9-to-5, working to just maintain your body, finding a partner, having children. Those are all further down the line secondary things after you find that place where you can succeed at the goal of human form of life in the quickest way possible. There's only a few of those places left on the planet, so we need to discover where they are. Then when they discover where they are, we relocate ourselves to that place, and then we find a way to maintain the material body, find a partner, and have children in the family thing, or whatever else of those other strong desires that we have to fulfill because it's too difficult to overcome and control. So as much as possible, let's try not to trap ourselves outside the 7-Eleven. Let's try not to trap ourselves in whatever location that we grew up in, and let's figure out. And maybe because of our dharma or karma, maybe we can't go very far, you know. Maybe this is just a matter of moving 2 blocks away. Maybe this is just a matter of moving another city away. Maybe this is a matter of moving 2 hours away to a big city. Maybe it's a matter of moving 8 hours to a state. Maybe it's a matter of saving up money for $1,000, $2,000, flying across the country into a different country and establishing a brand new life in a different country. It's different for each and every person. But you should take these things seriously and consider what is the most important thing to you, and why is your spiritual well-being and happiness not the most important thing in your life. Why are you wasting your life? Why are you wasting the human form of life? That's my question to you, okay? So thank you so much for reading and joining us for our Bhagavad Gita class. And good luck, and we'll see you next week.